in verse 65. And it reads, St. John chapter 6, verse 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So it's the words of the Most High that that's the spirit of the Most High. You believe that? You know that? So you believe in Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your denomination? You're Christian or?
Yeah.
Okay. Where's your family at? Your parents out here?
Yeah. We own the food truck down there.
Oh, you own the. Okay. I see. So now, what would be your race?
Asian.
Asian?
Yeah.
Like what specifically?
Filipino.
Filipino. Okay. So-called Filipinos. Well, I know it's Israelites in the Philippines, but nonetheless, what do you know about the Bible? What do you know about Moses? What was Moses known for?
I forgot.
Okay. So Moses went and delivered his people, the Israelites, out of ancient Egypt. You familiar with that story?
I think, yeah.
Okay. Well, Moses was an Israelite. You know God has a chosen people?
Yeah, the 12 disciples.
The 12 disciples?
Yeah, right?
Close but no cigar. It's the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So, but the 12 disciples was symbolic for those 12 tribes. You heard of Israel, right?
Yeah.
There's a landmass called Israel, but even before that landmass was called Israel, there was a people that was called the nation of Israel. Right? So that would be God's chosen people. You see what I'm saying? So I'm if you got time, or if your family has time, but you said they down there, they selling, right, on a Sabbath day. Did you know that's against the laws of God? You heard about the Sabbath day? You know the 10 Commandments?
Yeah.
What's some of the 10 Commandments?
Adultery, you shall not commit adultery.
Right.
You shouldn't kill or destroy, right?
Right. What's the 4th commandment he gave? How about thou shalt keep the Sabbath? You know that one? I'll read it for you right now. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Right? So today would be the Sabbath day.
Oh, I thought it would be on Sunday.
Sunday. He said, look, 6 days he made heaven and earth, right? And on the 7th day he rested. Right? So now when you look at your calendar and what's the first day of the week?
Monday? Or no, Sunday?
Sunday's the first day of the week, right? So what would be the last day of the week? Saturday. So this whole country and how people have been brought up in Christianity, we've been taught lies. You see what I'm saying? So I'll even show you the calendar right here. Right? Here's a calendar, and we can both see we at August 27th right now, right? That's Saturday, the 7th day of the week. Sunday would be the first day, right? So that would be a lie, how everybody's been brought up in Christianity and Catholic Church. We've been taught nothing but lies. So now, the Lord's Day was changed in 325 AD by Constantine. When you look up Roman emperor named Constantine, he changed the Lord's Day from Saturday to Sunday. That's why everybody worships on Sunday. But in actuality, the day of the Lord, the Sabbath day would be Saturday. You see that? So, but he said, in it thou shalt not do no work. Your family will be breaking the Sabbath right now by selling upon the Sabbath day. He said you can't do no work. You do all your labor in 6 days. So from Sunday to Friday, you put your work in. You labor, you hustle, you get your money. But on the Sabbath day, on the 7th day of the week, you rest. Outside of going out and laboring for the Most High, like I'm doing right now. That's what the disciples did. They went out and taught on the Sabbath day. You see what I'm saying? They didn't do no work for hire. They didn't cook. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to cook. It's a whole list of things you're not supposed to do upon the Sabbath day, and what you can do. Right? So I'm going to keep reading on this, right? So this is, I'll read it again. Exodus 20 and verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Why he say keep it holy? You know what the word holy means? Holy means separate, set apart. This day is not like every other day of the week. You see what I'm saying? And naturally, man, we're supposed to have rest. You got some people that they just work every day. They just got to get their money every day. But no, the Most High, the way he created the earth, it was symbolic for how man is supposed to be upon, on a day-to-day basis, according to his weeks, huh?
what's called, they work like on the food truck. We do the food truck like Thursday, Monday, and then like Friday and Saturday, and we don't do it on Sunday.
Okay, see, you're not doing it on the wrong. You're doing it on the wrong day. You can work on Sunday. You know, I know, but it's how this whole system has been constructed. You know what I'm saying? Saturday is more so like a turn-up day in America, and they do that intentionally because America does not teach things that are directly out the Bible. America and the leaders of it are hypocrites. You know what I'm saying? They promote things that are against God. Like, for instance, homosexuality. Is God for that? Does America promote that? Yeah, so, and then don't they say, in God we trust, on the dollar bill?
Yeah.
God bless America? How can God bless America if they do and teach and promote things that are against him? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we got to look at America sideways. We got to understand that America is very hypocritical. You can't say you believe in God, you know, God bless America, but you do things and you promote things that are against God. And they, you know, in a court system, they swear in on the Bible. They make people put their right hand up, put their left hand on the Bible, right hand up, and they got to swear in on the Bible. But they don't even believe it. They don't even practice it. You know what I'm saying? So they would be lies. They would be liars, according to the Bible, right? So now, again, I'm going to keep reading on the Sabbath day. I'm going to break it down to you. Showing you that the seventh day of the week, Saturday, is the Lord's day. Right? So again, verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. So he said, not even your cattle. I'm sorry, you have a question?
Yeah. So then, what is your belief system? Are you Christian?
Well, according to I gotta get a scripture. I'm gonna answer your question with a scripture. Okay.
You don't know?
No, I know what I am. I'm an Israelite.
Okay.
Israelite from the tribe of Judah.
Okay. And
Okay.
You believe in the Bible? Or you
I believe in the whole Bible.
So do you think it's right to condemn people for what they're doing? Would that be what
Well,
the Bible says?
well,
According to the Bible?
condemning people would be judging them. Like I'm not picking up a stone and throwing it at somebody's head for doing that.
Stone, but words are just like stones.
Okay.
So for
So
a little kid here, if he feels condemned by what he's doing, and I think like if you come from a place of love, he'll be more receptive to everything you have to say.
okay. Well, what is love according to the Bible?
Love is patient, love is kind.
Okay. Can I give you a direct definition of love out of 1 John?
Go for it.
1 John chapter 5. 1 John chapter 5 and verse 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So would the Sabbath day be a commandment?
Wait, did I ask about the Sabbath?
Huh?
I didn't ask about the Sabbath.
I know, but in general, when I'm teaching them about the Sabbath day, I have to tell them what the commandments are, because that is the love of God. I'm teaching him love right now. You see that?
I don't think love is condemning them.
I didn't say, how did I condemn you? Did you feel condemned?
Is he gonna go home and say, Mom, you're doing this wrong?
He's gonna question it, but shouldn't we ask questions?
Should you be condemning?
I did not. How did I condemn? He just said he didn't feel condemned.
Okay.
We can have a conversation, but you know, see, some people get offended by the word of God. When the truth comes out, people want to live. How you doing, King? All praises, all praises. People don't like the truth. People want to live in lies, and she's comfortable with the lies that she's been told in the society. But yet and still, her people don't love everybody. Do you know the history of America? Look at some of these pictures right quick. Some of these pictures right quick. This is stuff that her ancestors did to my ancestors. They do not love everybody. This happened to a 14-year-old boy. You hear what I'm saying? His name was Emmett Till in 1955. That is not love. She talking about, I need to come out here and teach. I'm teaching you love. But her people have not shown any type of love over the course of 400 years. So again, keeping the Sabbath day is of the commandments of God. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's okay. You got to question things. You got to question how the society is being ran. You got to question things biblically. Just for instance, this image of Christ, they promote this everywhere. The passion of Christ, right?
Yeah.
It does. Can we find book, chapter, and verse where it says that Christ looks like this?
No.
We can't, right?
Yeah.
So why is it being promoted in movies and TV shows and documentaries? They're about to come out with a sequel to the Passion of Christ. You know what I'm saying? So why is that? Who created these images? All these images you see on the left side. You've seen one of these images in churches,
Yeah.
but where can we find this at? Like, because look, in 1 Thessalonians 5:21, it tells us, prove all things and hold to that fast which is good. So you have to be able to prove every statement that you make. If they're saying Christ is a blonde, blue-eyed white man that looks like Charles Manson some days, he looks like Leonardo DiCaprio on other days, you know what I'm saying? If they're telling us that he looks like this, they have to prove it. They can't, otherwise what? You just be taking in lies. You just be consuming lies. And then you're going to regurgitate that same stuff and teach it to the kids that come up behind you, the next generation. Right? But let's prove it. I'm going to show you what John the Revelator saw of Jesus the Christ. Okay? We're gonna see if this lines up with what the Bible says. Right? So in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 13, I'm going to start there. And it reads, "And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with the garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with the golden girdle." So Christ, how John saw him, he had a full garment on. You know what I'm saying? If he was out here in America with a full garment on, people would say he's wearing a dress. I came out here with my garment on before. I got that same very thing. But that's why, because everybody's been westernized. But you go to the Eastern Hemisphere, it's not uncommon to see a man wear a garment. It's not uncommon. You know what I'm saying? But over here in America, people have been brought up a certain way, and they think that this is how things are supposed to be. But Christ wore a full garment, and he had a belt around his waist, right? Verse 14. Now we see in this image right here, right? It's about to talk about his hair color. Verse 14. "His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow." Right? Is his hair fully gray or white? No, right? Always we just see dirty blonde images. Right? Dark brown hair. Those are the images we see of Christ right here. In movies and TV shows and documentaries. You know what I'm saying? All of that, right? But according to the Bible, it said that his head and his hairs were white like wool. So he had fully white hair, fully gray hair. And that was symbolic for wisdom when you read Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 1. So then it said that the texture of his hair was like wool. You know what people in the earth have hair like wool? And what does wool feel like?
Like soft.
It feels like a sheep. You see how the sheep's hair?
Yeah.
That would be wool. And the hair grows outwardly, right? Right? So, but the sheep, but the images that they depict, it grows down. That would be a lie, right? So what people have hair like wool? Don't be scared to say it. What people on the earth have hair like wool?
None.
Huh?
None.
None. Whose hair grows outwardly?
Oh, like yours?
Like mine, right? Like this brother's right here, huh? Like this sister right here behind him. Like this brother. Right? So hey, this how I'm gonna keep reading. And we're gonna continue to see how Christ actually looks like compared to what we see being promoted all throughout America, right? This is Revelation 1 and 14. "His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire," meaning Christ had a red tint to his eyes, right? They always show that his eyes was blue and he just beautiful blue eyes, right? But Moses gave a prophecy in Genesis chapter 49. He said that his teeth would be white with milk and his eyes would be red with wine. And in Matthew 11, Christ was called a wine bibber. He drank wine. You see what I'm saying? But he drank in moderation. So it said that his eyes were as a flame of fire. Verse 15. "And his feet like unto fine brass." What color is brass?
Like dark.
I have a picture of it right here.
Oh.
Brown?
Brown, like a penny.
Yeah.
Brass is brown,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
right? So, but how brown was Christ according to John the Revelator?
Black.
It says, "And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace." If you burn anything, you put something on the stove, you overcook it, you know what I'm saying? What color is it gonna come out?
Black.
Real black, right? So yeah, and if Christ was an Israelite, a Jew from the tribe of Judah, he was a Hebrew, right?
Yeah.
What color was the rest of the Hebrews?
Brown.
Brown.
They were brown, right? So who are the people living in Israel today?
Middle East.
You- That's a term that they came up with in the 1800s, but even then, that's not a biblical term. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. So again, we see that Christ, according to the Bible, would have been a dark-skinned man, right, with woolly hair. But according to America and all throughout the world, they say he's white. So, but that would be a lie. That's something else we've been told that was a lie outside of the Sabbath day. Sabbath day is a lie. How Christ looks according to the Bible is a lie. I'm going to just keep exposing America for what it is.
I knew that he wasn't white.
Okay, all praises.
My family knew that he wasn't white.
Okay.
Because my dad and my mom, they read the Bible every day, but I don't.
Okay, well that's good then. Okay, I'm going to show you this though. This is Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. This is Christ talking to the Jews, right? This is red letter right here. Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty. So Christ is telling the Jews, I know your labor. I know your works. I know your tribulation, all the hell and persecution that you suffer and that you go through. Because at the time of Christ, the Jews were oppressed by the Romans. You know that? So the Jews were slaves to the Romans. Even though they made them seem like a working class people, just like we see here in America. You have a lower class people that live in the ghettos, that live in the worst places all throughout America. And then you have the nicer areas throughout all America, the rich areas. Same thing, that's how it was being constructed in Rome. But in Rome, in the Roman Empire, the Jews were being oppressed and subjugated to the Romans. They were slaves. So it has to be a people group today that's slaves to the to the leaders within America. And who lives in the worst areas all throughout America? When they call it the ghetto.
People think like
Black people, Hispanics, worst areas, right?
Yeah.
All throughout South Central LA, you see on the news and they talk about somebody got shot or it was a sideshow and somebody got hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's always a Black or Hispanic neighborhood, right? So likewise, the Jews in Rome during Christ's time, they were living in the ghettos. They were being oppressed by the Romans. So Christ said to the Jews, look, I know your works, your tribulation, and your poverty. Because being in the ghetto, that's being in poverty. Right? So the Jews was in poverty, right? So watch this. But thou art rich. Why is Christ saying the Jews are really rich? Because the promises of God was given unto them. They're going to live in persecution in this time, but in the kingdom of heaven, they're gonna be on top of everybody. They're not gonna be oppressed no more. You see what I'm saying? And then watch this. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So these people would be the synagogues of Satan. You see this image right here? They stole the identity of the real Jews. So they're claiming to be Christ's people, but these are not the real Jews. They stole that land according to the 1948 British Mandate, Balfour Declaration. And once so-called black people, Hispanic people went into slavery, they stole the nationality of the real Jews, Hebrews, Israelites. Right? So, but these people, Christ called them the synagogue of Satan. Where do they go and have worship and fellowship? In the synagogues. Right? They go to the synagogues. Right? And I just showed you what Christ looked like according to the Bible. And the Bible said that Christ was a dark-skinned man with woolly hair. With hair like wool. Right? So everything we've been taught in the society is a lie, man. Everything we've been taught in society is a lie. So everything we've seen happen to so-called blacks and Hispanics over here in America was all Bible prophecy. Because we are God's chosen people. And God told us he would curse us if we broke his commandments. God said that the so-called blacks and Hispanics would go into slavery by way of slave ships. You would be working in the fields. You would be subject and oppressed by your enemies, man. So everything we've seen happen in this society is all Bible prophecy. And God is going to deliver his people out of America. And his people are the Jews, the Israelites. Now Israel has been scattered throughout all the earth, man. So I'm gonna get some more scriptures to show you that, right? I'm gonna show you that in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy 28 and verse, I'm gonna start at 15. And it reads, but it shall come to pass. So this is Moses. Moses is talking to the Israelites after having delivered them out of ancient Egypt. And this is where Moses instructed them in the laws of the Most High God, right? To keep the commandments, and if they don't, they would be cursed. So if the Israelites kept the commandments, God would bless them, put them above all people as being his chosen people. But if they didn't keep the commandments, God promised to curse them. Right? So now, is a curse a good thing or a bad thing? What you think?
Bad.
It has to be bad, right? So watch this. This is Moses talking to the Israelites, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So Moses made it plain to them. He said, look, if you guys hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God and you observe his commandments, he's going to bless you. If you don't, he's going to curse you. So it's through the curses that God put on the Israelites that we are able to identify who they are in today's time, who the real Israelites are. You see? So verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. So again, I already made mention of who lives in the worst areas. That's being cursed in the city. Living in the worst areas, in the ghettos and the slums and the barrios, the projects. You know what I'm saying? Where, you're getting gunned down. You're in a dangerous neighborhood, drug infested community. That's being cursed in the city. Then he said, cursed shalt thou be in the field. So who was working in the fields? Even to this day, for the lowest of wages, blacks and Hispanics, man. My ancestors was picking cotton. And cotton gave America over 50% of its wealth. And yet and still, no retribution for what my ancestors did in building up this country. You know what I'm saying? So that's being cursed in the city, amongst other curses that God put on the Israelites. You see what I'm saying? So, but again, I'll go back to the commandments, man, because like I said, things have been taught in the society have been lies. I already showed you about the Sabbath day. We learned that the Sabbath day was actually Saturday, not Sunday. We learned that Jesus Christ did not look like a white man. He didn't look like Charles Manson. We learned that, right? Bible said he was dark skinned with woolly hair. Revelation 1:14 and 15. I'm gonna show you about another commandment America don't promote. All right? Go back to Exodus. How y'all kings doing? All right, y'all know y'all Israelites? Y'all heard that before? All right, y'all gotta repent, man. It's high time for Israel to wake up. Come back to serving the Most High in these last days. So Exodus chapter 20 and verse, I'm gonna start at 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right? Does America say that you can't worship no other gods? Or it's quite a few different religions out here? It's a lot of religions, right? It's hundreds of religions in America. And everybody has their own, account of what they believe God to be. Like, they don't say that you can't, be a Buddhist. No, it's a lot of Buddhists out here in America. You know what I'm saying? They don't say that you can't worship and be a part of Krishna. The East Indian philosophies. You know what I'm saying? According to, I just read, that's a commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Right? So, and you could only worship the God of Israel. That's the only God that exists. All these other gods are false. And truthfully, God did give all races their own culture. Like God has a chosen people. He didn't choose everybody to be his people, to be his servants. He only chose the nation of Israel. You see what I'm saying? So only the nation of Israel will consist of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And you being so-called, you said Filipino, right? I can't judge the matter on that because I know it is Israelites within the Philippines. You may very well be an Israelite. That's something you got to do. You got to look up and search the history of your forefathers. You see what I'm saying? So and that's important because we come from the seed of our fathers. You see what I'm saying? That's why when you read the Bible, it says that these are the generations of Benjamin. These are the generations of Levi. Never talks about the lineage of the mother because your nationality is determined by whatever your father is. So you got to look up your father's lineage, your grandfather, your great-grandfather. See who you come from, man. It's important to know where you stand in the eyes of the Most High, with the Most High. You see what I'm saying? Because God, Christ, is only delivering his people. I'm going to show you that. This is Matthew chapter 1, right? Matthew chapter 1 and verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Right, so he said he's going to save his people, not all people. He's only going to save his people. And who was his people? Who was the Israelites, right? Because Christ was a Jew from the tribe of Judah, right? And in reading the next chapter, it lets you know who his people were. In Matthew chapter 2, in verse 6, and it reads, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Right, so it said out of thee, out of Bethlehem, and that's where Christ was born. It says shall come a ruler, a governor that shall rule my people Israel. So God's people from the beginning were the nation of Israel. In Christ's time, God's people is still the nation of Israel. You see what I'm saying? So Christ is going to rule over his people, and his people are going to rule over all the other nations. So it's about a hierarchy. We see a hierarchy here in America. You know, you have your people that sit atop of everybody, and everybody else that's beneath them, they play certain positions. So that's how the kingdom of heaven will be. The kingdom of heaven will be upon earth in the eastern hemisphere, back in Jerusalem. America's about to get destroyed. Do you believe that? Do you know that? America's going to get taken out with nuclear fire. Bombs dropped on America. That's what's going to happen to America. That's how America's going to get destroyed. Why? Because of all of the evil. All of the bloodshed of the indigenous people. The rape, robbery, murder, and theft of people and land.
Just like that. Just like how he flooded the earth.
Exactly. And he said that was an example. In the book of Jude, he said what God did to Sodom and Gomorrah and what he did in Noah's time, that's all an example of how he's going to destroy the world this time. When you read Matthew 24 in the book of Jude, I'm going to read that for you. So, I'm already in Matthew, so I'm going to stay there. Matthew 24 and verse 36. And it reads, But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. So we see that right now. Everybody turning up, they having fun, they breaking the Sabbath day. You know what I'm saying? They enjoying themselves, they eating, being merry. Nobody's considering that today is the day of the Lord. You got some people out there, there's a lot of people out there that do keep the Sabbath day holy today. You know what I'm saying? But we see the majority of people are not keeping the Sabbath day holy. You know what I'm saying? So, and the same thing in Noah's time, that's how it's going to be in this time. And even Peter talked about it in 2 Peter chapter 3. He said, what happened in the beginning, the flood of water, God promised not to destroy the earth with water no more. But it's going to be a flood of fire this time. And I'm going to read that for you in a minute, but watch this. Verse 39. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Right? Then,
Is that what the rainbow is?
that's what that's symbolic for. And the rainbow represents, God's covenant with the earth. You know what I'm saying? And what did America turn the rainbow into?
The LGBT.
The LGBT community, right? That's what they turned God's rainbow into. So, you think God's happy with that? Absolutely not, right? God can't be happy with that. That's not something that God teaches is okay. So that's another thing we can look at America and see, look, they lying about that. And that's really a slap in the face to the Most High, man. You know, when you know about Sodom and Gomorrah, what God did to Sodom and Gomorrah? In Genesis 19, right after the flood, there was one might say it was an asteroid. We don't, but it was actually the angels of the Most High. The angels, they ride in the vehicles of what America deems as UFOs. Those are actually the vehicles of the angels. And they came and destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah with fire by zapping them.
Oh, I thought it was asteroid.
You see some people, it's hard. It was hard to determine, but once you go to the scriptures, you'll see how God destroyed it. I'm going to show you. Because everything that we see, from the flood in Noah's time to Sodom and Gomorrah, all of that was in representation of how God is going to destroy this time. The earth this time, or the world, or this side of the world. I'm going to show you in Genesis 19 what God did to Sodom and Gomorrah. Like you already said, like you already understood that the rainbow was symbolic for God's covenant with the earth, to not destroy the world with water. But America turned that rainbow into homosexuality. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, that's against God, and God's he got something for them. Because as much as he's a God of love and a God of mercy, he's also a God of wrath, of indignation. You know, so this is Genesis chapter 19 and verse 1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. So there was a man named Lot, and Lot was the nephew of Abraham. You've heard of Abraham, right?
Yeah.
So Lot was Abraham's nephew, and he was living in Sodom at the time, right? So, but God was he sent 2 angels to Lot to let him know to get out of Sodom, because God is about to destroy it. Okay? So verse 2, and he said, behold, now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, nay, but we will abide in the street all night. So these 2 angels, you know, Lot probably didn't know that they were angels, but he told them to come in and everything, and, you know, he was going, you know, make food for them, give them drink, you know, but they said, look, no, we're going to tarry in the streets all night. Meaning what? They was about to destroy the whole city. That's what the angels were sent for, right? So verse 3, and he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and he entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, and all the people from every quarter. So everybody in Sodom heard that these 2 men had came into Lot's house, and they all circled the house. What do you think these men were about to do, or what they was trying to do? I mean, everybody just comes to the house and they gonna circle your house? How would you feel if, you know, you and your family in the house chilling, and then just everybody in the city just came?
Try to kill him?
Yeah, you know what I'm
Try to hurt him?
Yeah, exactly, right? We're gonna see what they're gonna do. Right, this is verse 5. And they called unto Lot, the people in the city, and said unto him, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. What you think that means? They said, bring them out here so that we can know them.
They want to know who did it, and they want to like hurt them, because
I'll tell you this, they want to do something nasty to them. That's how Sodom and Gomorrah was. You know what sodomite means? Sodomite means homosexual. Sodomite. That's why God said in Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse 17, there shall be no whores of the daughters of Israel, nor any sodomites. A sodomite, I'll tell you this, just look up that word, sodomize. Sodomize, right? So, but this was the city Sodom, and God was about to destroy this place, right? And Sodom is very much like America. Because we'll read in the book of Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8, God said that Christ was crucified in a spiritual city like Egypt and like Sodom. And America is a modern day Egypt and a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. Right, so I'm gonna keep reading the story, right? They said that, you know, bring them out so that we may know them, verse 6. And Lot went out at the door and unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. So Lot was at the point like, look, I got 2 virgin daughters, you know what I'm saying, but don't do nothing to these angels, to these 2 men angels. But the men of the city, they wanted the angels. They didn't want his daughters. So, you know how the men of Sodom was. They was off into homosexuality. That's what they was into. And America's into that, right? So we're going to see the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah, and we're going to get the future judgment of America, right? So this is verse, I'm going to drop down and get to the point what God did to Sodom. Dropping down. Verse 15. So they never got to the two angels, by the way. So verse 15. And when the morning arose, then the angels hasted Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. So what the angels did was they blinded all the men. They smote them with blindness so that they couldn't see, right? So that's how they weren't able to do anything to the angels when you keep reading down. So, but they in the morning they told Lot, like, look, take your wife, take your children, get up out of here, because we're about to destroy Sodom, right? In verse 16, and while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. Right?
Well, tell me leave.
I'm probably another hour and a half. I know you've been listening for a while, so that's good. You get the word on the Sabbath day of the Lord. You do listen to the word every day, but specifically today is that day to give reverence into the Most High.
Yeah.
I know you got to probably go, so.
Yeah.
But it was good talking to you, man. What's your name?
Francois or Marcus?
You said France?
Francois.
Francois. Okay, nice to meet you, man. Shalom. All right, be safe out here.
I'll see ya.
All right, now.
I gotta park this.
Oh, yeah. You ran out of minutes, huh? Okay.
See ya.
All right, now.
Thank you.
No problem. Be safe. Keep going on. So all praises to the Most High God. Getting back to it.